Hello, elegant listeners, and welcome to Go, my favorite sports team. We're here remotely from our own locations for the first time since the last time that we did it. Mark's background is a complete green screen. He's actually not where he says he is.
I haven't even said where I am, so it's a double enigma.
It's a super mystery. They'll never be able to solve it.
Yep. Well, I am in an undisclosed location. Indisclosed? Indiscreet. Indiscreet, undisclosed. But here's a clue.
Ooh, you've got a clue? A horse.
Hey, yippee!
Mark's going to the Preakness, everybody!
Wee snaw. It's a horse.
Wee snaw? Wee snaw? What is wee snaw?
Wee snaw. I think it's like what SpongeBob did his bad impression of his seahorse.
Oh. That was an older episode. I don't remember that episode. But anyway, today, since we haven't seen each other in a while, how are you, Mark? What's been going on?
I've had to deal with some crazy server troubles. I've learned a ton about Houdini. And I've also learned that no one knows anything about Houdini's distributed simulations. I tell you, there is so little information out there on how to set it up properly. And see, we've been doing it for a while, and for, just having a bunch of renders go up on the farm and everyone's doing their own frame is fine. But when you get down to simulations, it gets really, really technical. And the problem is, I've even reached out to Side Effects, which is the company that makes the software.
Yeah.
I have an account rep, right? Because I have an account that I pay for, so they assign me an account rep. And I ask him, he's like, well, I'm not exactly technical in the software. I'm just here, as an account rep, but I'll get you connected. And he got me connected with 3 different people, and all of them were like, well, I don't really know how the distribution system works.
Oh, geez.
And so the whole time I'm wondering who the hell built this stuff. And why is there no documentation? Because I'm assuming that a lot of companies and VFX houses out there must do this in some capacity, but it's a mystery. There is only one video that Houdini themselves have put out about distributed simulations and how to do. So I had to figure it all out from random anecdotes of other people online being like, I can't figure this shit out. And then someone else would go like, well, I've never done that. I've been working in Houdini for 12, 15 years. I've never done a distributed simulation before in my life. And it's like, great. Why did they even make this? Yeah, it is.
Wow. Yeah.
It is super obscure, but I've learned a lot about networking. I've learned a lot about Houdini just from trying to puzzle this out. So it's been fun. It actually has been.
Have you learned about like the history of Houdini and his magic tricks?
Different.
Oh.
This is actually Dua Lipa. It's a software that Dua Lipa made, and I can't get a hold of Dua Lipa to tell me how Houdini's distributed simulations work.
But anyway, yeah, I guess we should jump into jacuzzas or softball. Do you have any jacuzzas?
Yeah, I got jacuzzi.
I don't know. I don't know. Listen, you've been traveling. You've been busy. I don't know what you got prepped.
Yeah, I have a few that are ready. I have the news all ready and everything here, but there's not too many jacuzzas this week. The first of which that came up was someone by the name of Goblin Child of Freedom, who said, please God, say Oscar Piastri's name right. I don't know what I said. You also somehow guessed his meme name, which is Pastry. And I still am not sure if they're joking. Is his name really P-Ass-Tree?
I guess. I don't know. Oscar...
They really emphasize the ass in there. It's all caps. P, as in urinate, and then A-S-S, and then tree, as in with the leaves and stuff. So I don't know which one it is. I don't know what's true anymore.
All right, I'm going to watch a video and figure out how to do it.
Piastri. Piastri.
It's Piastri. Piastri. It's like
definitely...
Piastri. It's right.
No, it's not right. Os is different than ass. What they spelled was ass.
Piastri. Piastri. That's what it said. That's how it was pronounced.
But they said Piastri.
Yeah, but you got to say it with an Italian accent.
But I don't speak Italian.
You just Piastri.
That's not.
Here's your Piastri. You can have a pastry.
They're going to be more mad at me than you than me.
I'm probably more mad at me, yeah. But I just listened to a video that said this is how you pronounce his name. So,
well, I've listened to videos of Italian people speak. I don't think I do a good Italian accent. So
I don't think I do a good any accent, even my own accent from Ohio.
No, nothing better than your accents. That eulogy was it was like I was transported back to the 1600s. It was beautiful.
That eulogy is well known.
Yes.
Anyway. So Mark, we've talked about baseball. Now we're going to talk about softball. Do you know the two types of softball there are?
Oh, man. You got soft boiled and medium boiled. You got, I don't know. The two types of softball?
Slow pitch and fast pitch.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, then, all right. So slow pitch, how slow is slow pitch?
Slow pitch is like super slow underhand. It's like played with adults. It's actually got a different ball.
Well, then there's two types of baseball. There's fast pitch and T-ball.
That's, you could argue those are two types of baseball.
I'm not arguing that. I'm using it as an extreme, unrealistic example.
You're not wrong. T-ball isn't really baseball. It's a learning step to baseball.
So slow pitch softball is a learning step to softball.
Unfortunately, no.
What do you mean?
They're so different. Slow pitches, both are thrown underhand, but slow pitch, you're like, it's one step, whereas so you take one step on the left, one foot stays on the mound, the other steps off the mound, and you just toss it underhand, all right?
This is ridiculous.
And then fast pitch, they do a whole, like around the world windmill, throw it really fast.
Break your skull speeds, I know.
So, one of the bigger differences, the bats are different. Slow pitch bats tend to be heavier. It's about power. It's about transfer of momentum.
It's about power.
Whereas in fast pitch, you want a lighter bat because you need to get around and have a better reaction speed to just hit the ball. The other difference is a slow pitch softball is softer and it's bigger. It's 12 inches in diameter, or not diameter, circumference. Whereas a fast pitch softball is harder than the slow pitch and it's 11 inches in circumference.
Oh, circumference. I was like 11 inch. I was like, a basketball size. All right, okay.
Yeah. Here's 11 inches.
Trust me, I know it off the top of my head.
Trust me, I know 11
I know 11 off the top of the dome or the bottom of the dome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't ask me why I have a tape measure here. It's just for visual purposes.
I don't have a tape measure next to me, but usually there is a tape measure within arm's reach of me at all times.
You have a horse to compare to, you know?
Yeah, so this is clearly an 11-inch horse for I've seen one. I know my 11-inch horse.
All right. So softball and baseball, very similar. The biggest, like the field shape, everything is the same. You've got your baseball diamond, you've got your outfield, but I've got some cool renders for you. I'm excited to show you these.
Renders? You rendered stuff?
I rendered stuff. Here you go. So for softball field.
Hold on, I'm on the Riverside app and everything's tiny. Hold on. All right.
Yeah, look at my 3D render right here.
Okay, you didn't make this. When you say you have a 3D render.
You're right. I didn't render it. I clicked a button. But look, it's 2-dimensional, but
all right,
it's 3-dimensional.
I'm going to give you that. Most of the rendering I do is clicking a button and then something that pops out. So I can't. It's really the software that's doing it all. Unless you're doing it in Houdini. Then you got to build your entire... You got to build the program while you're making what you want to make. That shit is complicated.
Yeah. Baseball field, your bases are 90 feet, right, from each other. In softball, they're 60 feet. So basically, you can use a baseball field to play softball on, but you can't do the opposite because the infield is too small on a built softball field for baseball. Also, the fences are closer in softball. They're 250 feet out for a home run to cross the fence. So you really, it's fine for youth sports, or youth baseball, but it wouldn't work for pro baseball.
Those goddamn youths.
Them youths. The other big thing is in softball, batters need to have a faster reaction time. Mm-hmm. And the reason for this is because the softball pitching mound
it's closer.
it's closer, while the speed of the pitches are not as fast as in baseball,
Still pretty fast.
yeah, they're still fast, but they're coming from 43 feet away compared to 60 and a half feet away.
It's about 2/3 the distance.
Yeah, it's 17.5 feet closer than a baseball mound.
So if it was equivalent speeds, you'd have to react to about 33% faster. Actually, it would be more because mathematically the reaction time is still the same. So however far that distance traveled, you would actually have less time proportionally because of the distance. It's probably a square inverse kind of thing. I'm not sure if it's exactly like that, but you would have to have much faster reactions. How fast is it usually?
A softball pitch?
Yeah.
78.2 miles per hour is around the average.
That's still faster than average. That's average. Damn, that's faster than I could ever throw.
A new pitcher might start around 35 miles per hour. Experienced pitchers in D1 and professional leagues exceed 70 miles per hour with records exceeding 78 miles per hour.
Okay, so records exceeding 78. So let's say the average more like 75, 74.
For professional and D1 pitchers, yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's still very fast. So like with baseball being 100-ish being really top end, and then average probably like 94.5.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
In the 90s.
That's only a 25% difference for a 33% difference in distance. So it's actually, you would need faster reaction speeds.
And on top of that, the release point, like you have to react once it's released to the closer distance. Not only that, and then you have the release. So it's from release to that point.
How possible is it with a softball to do like sinkers and curve balls and things like that?
There's actually a lot of pitch variants, which I actually have here. So you have your normal 2-seam and 4-seam fastball, very similar to baseball. But then they have what's called a drop ball, which in baseball is usually called a sinker. But you also have variants like the rise ball, because you're going underhand, you can change the trajectory to up.
Oh.
You have a curve ball and a screwball, same as baseball, but you also have a drop curve and a rise curve.
Ooh,
so a drop curve is similar to a slider, and a rise curve, all of a sudden, that's something you can't do in baseball. It's harder. You're throwing from up here, trying to have it rise.
Yeah, you'd have to somehow throw it overhand and give it like super hard. It would be tough.
Yeah. So and then there's floaters where you just go really, really high and have it drop over the plate. There's knuckle curveballs, which also exist in baseball. But I mean, change-ups, a million different things you can do when you're coming from this point, because you're still on a mound. So you can have it as a flat plane and have it go straight into the strike zone. But you can also have it drop off and rise, depending on how you do different pitches. It's pretty insane. And the reason I wanted to cover softball right now is because the day this releases is the first game of the Division I College World Series.
Nice. Now, who's the Caitlin Clark of softball?
The Caitlin Clark of softball is from years ago. Jeannie Finch.
Jeannie Finch.
Yeah, she was one of the most prolific USA softball pitchers for years, considered the top of her game. Multiple Olympics, multiple Olympic golds. She was just a dominant pitcher across the world.
I didn't know softball was an Olympic sport.
So softball and baseball both used to be Olympic sports, and then they got removed because they were dominated by the U.S., so it wasn't really competitive. I think it might be coming back, but I'm not sure. When was the last time softball was in?
I know baseball's, it's huge in Japan and Korea, and there's a lot of other Asian countries that like to watch, especially Korean and Japanese baseball. I don't know about softball, though.
So softball is returning when the Olympics are here in LA in 2028.
Damn, remind me to get out of LA for that.
But it was removed from the program in 2008 after the Beijing Olympics.
Okay.
And then it apparently returned for the Tokyo Games as a combined sport. And then it's part of a single package of sports in 2028.
Got it.
Because I don't think baseball's in. Cricket, flag football, lacrosse, and squash are all in 2028. So flag football will be the first time.
Cricket makes sense just because of the absolute, international craze about it.
Oh, yeah. It's massive. And it's also a great ball sport.
I think. I still don't know how it works. I'd have to sit and watch a game. That's the thing. You can talk to me all day about it. I just have to sit and watch.
The biggest issue, too, is there's so many variants of cricket. Like, Test cricket is the OG one that lasts days and days. T20 is the most prolific type of cricket now because it's like single day.
I vaguely remember those numbers and letters. Yes.
Right now, we don't know who's going to be in the College World Series, but right now, Florida, Georgia, Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, Nebraska, Alabama, and Oklahoma are in contention on one side of the bracket, while Liberty, Oregon, UCLA, South Carolina, Florida State, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, and Arkansas are on the other side of the bracket.
Mm.
So, and they play best of 3 series in college for softball. It's also the same way they do it in baseball. It's a best of 3 series when they play each other. We've talked about some of the differences between fast pitch and slow pitch, but one of the big differences between baseball and softball. Oh, the other thing with fast pitch versus slow pitch, you can't steal and you can't bunt in slow pitch softball. Whereas in fast pitch, you can steal and you can bunt.
Why?
Because the ball takes so long to come to the plate, you could just walk to the second base from first base.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. But why no bunt?
I mean, the ball would go barely nowhere. It's just...
What if you bunt really hard? What if you bunt, but with one of these? What if you go like here, but then you switch up right at the end and go, ah! What if you stand in front of me and go, ah!
What if you break the bat, slam it into the ball, and then throw the bat into the outfield?
What if I stretch the bat into nunchuck bats and go,
and then you're Bruce Lee, the softballs all over the field?
That's exactly what I motioned. You didn't need to explain it. I just did it.
It was important for the audio only people.
They got it from me stretching it apart and oh! I'm pretty sure the context clues were there.
I'm not certain, but I believe in the listeners and figuring it out. But I like to double check.
They're very smart. They're really smart. They're really, really big-brained and so handsome and or beautiful. They're so smart. We love the listeners. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the listeners are great.
Why are you saying it like that?
They are. I'm just saying it like suspicious. They are.
Listeners,
they're phenomenal.
Please. I know you were buying it all until that moment. Then Tyler was all kinds of weirdly wording that. So it's everything cool, man.
All right. But let's get into the conversation of how softball began. And then I'll get into more of the strategies, the equipment, and everything related to it, much like baseball. So softball originally began in Chicago in 1887 when Yale football fans at Farragut Boat Club were waiting with a bunch of other Yale and Harvard football fans for the results of the game. A guy heard of Yale's defeat. He picked up a boxing glove and threw it at a Harvard fan who attempted to hit it back with a broomstick that happened to be lying by. George Hancock, a reporter that witnessed the throw, got an idea and quickly sprang into action to break up what was sure to be a fight between a broomstick and a boxing glove assailant.
Mm-hmm.
He grabbed the laces of the boxing glove and tied them together, wrapping it up as tight as possible to create it as a ball. Then marked off a home plate, bases, and a pitcher's box inside the boat club gym with chalk and divided the two groups into teams. He was just like, Yale fans there, Harvard fans there. Thus, they decided to play indoor baseball, but with these minor pieces of equipment. And this is forever known as the first softball game. Wow. Although at the time it was called indoor baseball, it quickly became popular at gyms in the area and local fire companies started organizing teams. The reason fire companies did it is because in the firehouse, they have tons of space where the trucks usually are. So they'd pull them out and they'd be able to play to take up some time until a fire occurred.
I don't know why they couldn't just go out to where they pulled the trucks to if they had all that space out front.
That's concrete.
Inside's not concrete.
Then they'd have to chase it. And then they could just hit into the walls. It was called indoor baseball.
You're right. You're hit right into that annoying horn that keeps blaring all the time. Just bwah, bwah.
Auto win if you can clog it and mute the whole thing.
Yeah, who needs to hear that? All shouting numbers and names sound like street addresses. I don't know. Shut it up.
But while the name at the time was called indoor baseball, thus making them play indoors, they couldn't possibly play it outdoors. One fire company team, known as the Kittens, really adopted the game, and eventually so much so that it was called kitten ball in the 1900s. And the game didn't officially become known as softball until the 1930s. From indoor baseball to kitten ball to softball. Now, while softball is mostly known as a women's sports today, it was played by both men and women in the 1930s. But the shift occurred when, during World War II, the men were drafted to the war, and women were playing baseball. If you've ever seen the movie The League of Their Own, and thus they were also playing indoor baseball or softball. League of Their Own is about how big baseball companies signed women's teams to keep fans coming to watch games while most of the baseball players were out serving in the military.
What happened to the teams after they returned?
Well, funny you should ask. The women were kicked out.
What?
But because they had the opportunity during wartime, they grew interest in the sport of baseball, and thus also the indoor and outdoor version. And eventually, when the players returned, softball still remained wildly popular, and in 1996, it officially became an Olympic sport, though there were campaigns all through the 50s, 60s, and 70s to get the sport added to the game. In 2024, it wasn't a part.
Do you think we'll have breakdancing again?
I hope not. Unless they do some better...
Well, it's not so much... I hope not. The rest of the events were great, but the one just sticks out.
Yeah. I don't think so. They need to have... It's a shame. It is a shame. I think it's really cool, but they need to work on the judging, making it more objective.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I don't think it was quite ready for... I don't think that there were enough breakdancing international events already before being in the Olympics. If I know it well enough, which I don't. But
yeah, I agree with you.
Rock climbing worked out really well. Like, that was a great addition. Oh, I love that.
But anyway, since the baseball players came back, women still wanted to play the sport. Eventually, women gained more rights. Title IX came about, and thus softball became dominated by women. And it was also probably, this is me predicting how it occurred. Women wanted to play baseball, but they figured softball, hence it's calling soft, would be better on the women's body because of their stupid not knowledge of health, and we're like, your organs will fall out if you exercise too much.
Your organs will fall out. Is that what people said?
That's literally in the history books of why people were like, women could not do sports. Or
why are their organs gonna fall out?
They thought because women bled every month, I guess that if they exercised more, that organs would start falling where they bled. I don't know.
What do they think a vagina is? That didn't make any sense. There wasn't one anatomy book in the library that someone could have picked up. I guess there's anatomy books right now that people could pick up and they don't know. So
yeah. But I think ultimately it was about like probably still having the superiority of men over women at the time. So they were trying to have more control.
Oh, thank God it's not here anymore. That's all got solved, right?
I wish.
No.
But anyway, so softball became a very much female-dominated sport, and thus fast pitch became the predominant women's sport. I still think there should be men's and women's baseball, and men should also have men's and women's fast pitch softball.
I don't disagree at all.
It's also why I don't like softball, because I was like, women should just be able to play baseball.
Yeah. But I would say this, that I think there is a world, and I might be completely wrong about this, I think there is a world where it might be nice. I don't know because I don't have like a roster of players to pull right here, but it might be nice for them to have their own thing.
That's true.
That is exclusive to, or not exclusive, obviously men can play softball, but as far as an official league goes, that is like a female dominated sport, that is a sport of its own, that might be nice. Now, I'm not saying that if women wanted to play baseball, they should be able to. Totally, absolutely. But, I don't want to we should open doors both ways when we haven't asked if anyone on the one side of the door wants their door open. You know what I mean? Now I'm speaking out of my ass completely here, so I don't know which way, one way or the other. But
my issue is there's a lot of people that are poo-poo about softball compared to baseball.
I don't poo-poo it at all. I know if I get clobbered if I had to pick between being clobbered in the head by a baseball from a professional baseball pitcher and a softball from a professional softball pitcher, I'd pick the baseball, weirdly enough. Because they're both spheres, so it's not really a matter of pressure over area. They're both going to hit you at a spherical point of impact, very small. The softball just has more mass. It's got a lot more mass, and it's coming pretty damn fast. So I don't know. I think I might pick the baseball.
That said, they've shown with Jamie Finch in particular how baseball players can't hit a softball pitcher. And now this, I think if they trained hard enough, they'd be able to, and they switch to the bats because the bats are different.
I think it would mess them up for life to try to change because their timings are so tightly trained for baseball.
And where they're looking for the release points and everything.
That if they were to catch up and train to be able to hit softballs, it would mess up their baseball timings.
Yeah.
And they'd have to work back to get that.
Well, and also on top of that, too, a baseball bat is significantly different than a softball bat. Baseball bats are heavier and their barrels aren't as elongated as a softball bat. They're more towards the end of the bat. So that parallel part is smaller than on a softball bat. So the weight is distributed to have the weight closer to the end for more power when you make contact with a baseball. Whereas a softball bat is more balanced and the barrel is longer at its widest point compared to a baseball bat. And I will say that studies show that reaction time differences for baseball and softball is, as a baseball hitter, you have 0.44 seconds to react. In softball, you have 0.35 seconds to react.
It makes sense. And that's a big difference.
Yeah.
That's not even enough time to tell what's happening, really. 0.35 is 350 milliseconds. It's not a lot of time. Not a lot.
So in softball, much like baseball, you have a home team and away team. Now, softball is played with less innings. It's a 7-inning game as opposed to a 9-inning game like baseball.
When do they stretch?
Probably the third, between the top of the third and the bottom of the third.
Why?
Or between the third and the fourth. They stretch at the end of the game, the 7th inning stretch.
They're smart. They stretch before the game starts, not like those dumb baseball players. Always cramping up in the 2nd inning. Idiots.
But much like baseball, your home team bats second. They're bat in the bottom of the inning, and your away team bats first. There's no set times for innings, as we know in baseball. The pitcher has to have both feet on the rubber at the beginning of the pitch, and only one can be off the rubber when they release the ball to pitch it. Base runners are able to steal, but they cannot lead off, I believe.
Here's a question, and I should know this. When they pass between bases, like after the pitcher, do they throw to each other underhand or overhand?
Overhand. So the only thing that's different between baseball and softball is softball pitches have to be underhand, but they still threw overhand through the entire field.
Interesting. That's fascinating.
There are times where people throw underhand. It's been proven, by the way, you're less injury prone throwing underhand than trying to throw overhand.
Oh yeah, because a rotator cuff is it's not meant for that. Yeah.
But in softball, unlike baseball runners can lead off to steal. Softball players have to stand on the base and then run from base to base to steal because they're closer together. The other thing, baseball and softball pitches are very much the same. You've got your first baseman, second baseman, catcher, pitcher, third baseman, shortstop, left fielder, center fielder, right fielder. All the same. The only difference that occurs is while baseball has a designated hitter, softball has a designated player. And that usually can be that they're a designated hitter who can bat in place of another player but doesn't have to play offensively. They also have a flex player, which can be substituted in and out of the game for any defensive position except for pitcher or catcher. So you can have a designated player that is also your designated hitter for your pitcher, and also your flex player. So you can basically switch them out. But if a DP flex player is substituted in for a player they were batting for, they can't return to the game in any capacity, the person that was switched out.
Question.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani, right? Is he changing up people's perception or any team's perception of the idea of a designated hitter because he is a pitcher, and also isn't he leading or really up there with number of home runs?
Yes, but he has been doing so as a designated hitter. Since he's been with the Dodgers.
Oh, I thought he was a pitcher.
He has not pitched. He hurt his shoulder when he was in Anaheim. That's when he was pitching and batting.
I see.
But he has not done so for the Dodgers yet because he's still recovering from his surgery.
But when he was doing well at both, right?
Correct. It was something that I dreamed of doing as a player, which is why I like Ohtani so much. I was a great batter, but I also loved pitching. And I was a good pitcher. I'll toot my own horn. I was thrown in the 80s when I was really little, so I was like 13. So
it's that wingspan.
It is
12 feet. I know 12 feet. I know what 12 feet is.
12
feet. See a 12-foot horse?
Yeah, let's see the 12-foot horse.
Better just put a 12-foot horse in.
So that's a little bit different, is that in softball you have the designated player, not a designated hitter, and then you have a flex position.
All right, that just makes him feel extra special. Oh, you're the designated player. All of us are just normal players. We wish we could be designated. That's silly.
So the designated player can bat for another player but doesn't play defensively, and the flex player can be substituted in and out of the game for any defensive position except for pitcher and catcher.
Fascinating.
But if it's the same person...
Isn't that just a backup? Isn't that just a backup?
It's different because in baseball, once you switch somebody out, you're stuck there.
Oh.
For the flex players, they can switch them in and out at will.
They're stuck there until what? End of game?
Yes.
What if they get hurt?
When you make a sub, well, then you can sub them out. But then that player is stuck in that position for the entire game. Flex players can move all over the field, switch in and out. It's all kinds of, they can do. It's a lot more strategic because you have this one player that's like, maybe they're a utility infielder who's just good at any position, and somebody's struggling that game. You can be like, all right, go switch out for them so that they can take a breather and bat, and then come back in. So it just adds a little bit of versatility of substitutions, as opposed to in baseball, all substitutions that you do is immediately, like, if I was pitching or if I was playing second base and somebody came in to play second base for me, I could no longer play in the game. I was out for the rest of that game. Whereas a flex player can come in and they can just switch out willy-nilly.
Got it.
And I believe the designated player can also switch up who they're batting for.
If there was going to be a movie, a softball movie, I know there probably is a softball, but if there was going to be the softball movie, you know, like, I'm trying to name one football movie. Name a football movie. Come on.
Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans, right? If there was going to be a softball movie that was as popular, as famous as Remember the Titans, tell me the story.
The story would probably be about World War II, when the women's athletes were taking over like a league of their own. But it's about when the men came back and there was this conflict of women wanting to play and men wanting to play and them trying to get along.
A league of their own too.
Yes.
I don't know what the second title part of that, but a league of their own too.
The Conundrum.
From hard to soft.
That sounds like a porno.
What do you mean? In what way? Explain. Expound.
I got you. From hard to soft.
Damn, a grower. All right. Holy shit.
He's a big grower. He went from here to here. That's like Gumby stretchy, like clay.
Mr. Fantastic Penis, we all know.
Oh, that's it. You're right.
Mr. Fantastic Penis, sorry. That was my father. Just call me Fantastic.
But anyway, softball, 7 innings, alternating who bats and who plays field. Positions very similar to baseball. to steal a base in softball, you have to stay on the base and then run to the other base when the pitch is released. Same rules apply as baseball. If you catch the ball on a fly, the batter is out. 3 strikes and you're out. 4 balls and you walk. If you're tagged out while not on the base, you're out. So if somebody has the ball and they tag you and you're off the base, you're out. 3 outs in an inning before it switches innings. Most runs score wins, which is running all the bases and getting back to home plate to score a run.
Just like baseball.
Just like baseball. Everything is the same as baseball except for the ball, the bats, the underhand pitching, and the size of the field. And then the designated player and the flex player.
Got it. And that's softball. Where can people find softball?
If you want to watch the Division I softball championships, which are starting literally today, the College World Series of softball, May 29th, you can watch, according to this, on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, and ESPN+. I imagine it's going to be on ESPN more than anything. It will be broadcast on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN2. That's what it says.
There you have it.
So it's the Women's College World Series, the WCWS, and we'll find out who wins. But that's where you can watch. You can also find softball leagues all over the place. There's tons of adult leagues, both for fast pitch and slow pitch. Distinctly different styles of play, but both are welcome and opportune places to go and learn and actually play yourself and have a fun time. There are beer leagues as well, adult co-ed leagues, all kinds of stuff. Not fast pitch, though. Beer league's not fast pitch.
I would hope not.
So that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for learning, Mark.
Thank you.
What did you learn? Tell me.
I learned that softball is a smaller field with 60-foot distances between the bases. There's about 45 feet from the pitcher's mound to the home plate. It's underhanded, but they can also do risers pitches, which can throw off baseball players a little bit. After World War II, the female baseball teams were kicked out when the men came back, and I have a movie made about the stuff before that, League of Their Own, and then Shohei Ohtani doesn't pitch anymore.
Hopefully people who like softball enjoyed this episode and don't get mad at me. I might have made some mistakes, but hey, it is what it is. But that's going to do it for this episode. Mark, thank you so much again for making the time.
Yes.
And you want to support us, or you want to accuse us, or you want to just talk with us or interact with us or interact with the community, we have a Discord, Distract2Go, and we also have a Reddit, which is primarily where you do your Jacuzzas, episode ideas, and suggestions. Reddit.com/r/gmfst. And then if you want to buy some merch, store.gmfst.com. We'll get some stuff figured out and probably some new product coming.
Yes.
Thank you guys again. Bye, I guess.
Bye, I guess. All right, there we go. Done.